So, hello everyone. Today we have with us Manveer Singh. He is the food business coach. He's the founder and CEO of the Night Gourmet. He is the author of Amazon bestseller Catering Your Way to Financial Independence and a podcast host of Catering Success podcast, which we can find it on Spotify or Apple Podcast as well. So please help me to welcome him to the Mitti Ke Rang podcast channel. So thank you so much for being the part.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much for having me, Khushi. I really appreciate that, and what you're doing is very good. So kudos to you for that. Yeah. Cheers.
So before I start, I always ask our speakers their vision or mission that they have been taking forward in their lives. And so
Yeah.
what is your vision and mission in your life?
So like they say, typically, I mean, I've been one of those, who was trying to figure out his vision and mission while I was trying to, build my business and I was trying to shape up my career. But it's during the pandemic that I've really realized the true essence of what I stand for, what is it that I really want to do with my life henceforth. So the first part of my journey was about achieving financial independence. That's what I've been able to achieve that to a large extent. And the second part, which has come up post pandemic, is that I want to create 100,000 self-employed professionals in the food services industry. That is something which has transpired from my book, We're Catering Our Way to Financial Independence, where in which my focus was what that I just wanted that I mean, there's that phase, and Kushi, probably if I just tell you about that, there's this phase, post lockdown when I was just actually feeling, then when do we get back to normal? And the only way I think, I was able to get my sanity because we used to run a hyper busy, catering and event hospitality company, which was down to zero during the pandemic, and that time the only thing which I realized we could do was to educate people and help them achieve micro entrepreneurship, what I call. And like I said, that's how the mission of 100,000 people, of creating 100,000 people in the F&B sector came about. So that's my mission. And regarding the vision is something, like I said, we are impacting a lot of people now, I mean, now overall through our content and through multiple other initiatives with what we are doing. But as and when I see this as a hub of micro entrepreneurship, what I can visualize and foresee in times to come, and a lot of people joining the F&B segment, wherein which they understand that food business is one business wherein which you don't need any prior background, and you can genuinely start from nothing and grow into something concrete just by focusing on some key basic elements. So yeah, that's how I visualize the overall scene like. Hope I answered your question. Yeah.
That is amazing. Like 100,000 people, it's a very huge project that you are
Yeah.
taking forward. So congratulations on the idea, and I hope it
Thank you.
will be there successfully.
Yeah.
So how did you started with your career in food?
So I mean, like I said, I was just discussing with someone the other day on a similar call, I mean, and we were just discussing about the fact that I typically was never interested in food. During my formative years, like I was telling you, I come from deepest Arkipuram, then I happened to shift to Delhi University, and I never had that inclination, even slightly, to probably be a part or be interested into F&B, because that was a very far-fetched industry. But then eventually, what happened was that while I was working in my first job, which was into management consulting, and after some time, I was realizing that there's that gap which comes in after 1.5, 2 years of working, and that's when I and a couple of my friends, thought of a beautiful concept, which was something called midnight delivery. Which was we were the pioneers in that, wherein which we started delivering food from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Not the food per se, but I would say the concept really inspired me. And that is where I just decided to quit my job, and I thought, let me give it my full time, and got into the food business per se. But like I said, I was with that time when I was starting out, it was more about getting into the convenience business as such, doing an innovative idea. But slowly and gradually, once I happened to sell the company, I really found that food can be a very good niche which we target. It can be something big, and that is how it really shaped up into a proper career per se. Like I said, when I was starting out in my first business, which was Night Bites, it was more about just leveraging an opportunity and playing on a concept rather than getting into a food business per se. So yeah, yeah, I mean, slightly long, but I mean, that's how, you know, I mean, and that's why I always say that food businesses are open to people from all industries. That's the beauty of this industry that way, right? So yeah.
That is amazing. Like you actually felt love with the concept actually, not the food,
Absolutely.
but how it came into your life. Like, okay, I will work in the food specifically because I think so. The concept can be same in other businesses as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, like I said, there are a lot of people who understand the business side of things. And, you know, while doing it for around 1.5, 2 years, I really understood that food in itself, I've just touched the tip of the iceberg. If I actually, you know, get deep into the business. So the first business which I was doing, we were doing good amount of orders. We were doing, I mean, we scaled to 3 outlets and the business was generally doing really well. But because of some internal reasons, we had to sell that off to a private investor, wherein which we made some good money. And the thought which I had internally in my at the back of my mind was that because we made some good money here, might as well try and give this a second shot and try to get deep into food now. Because what I was doing there in my previous business was more to do with operations, wherein which I was doing
Mhm.
a lot of sales, and sales was my bread and butter, right? But I thought I never got into the operations part of things. So I thought might as well understand how food is done. That's when I went and did my training from Delhi and London, and I came back and I thought that probably night gourmet is what can really become a benchmark of event hospitality in this country, and that is how, you know, I happened to start off. But like I said, it gets on to you, like like you rightly mentioned, you know, once you treat any business like a business per se, it is just about system and processes, nothing else. But when you understand and when you start building affection towards your product, and once you know that passion develops, that is when you think that. And today, even today, you know, I mean, to a large extent, you know, the focus is to do whatever we do, it has to be something to do with food irrespective, because you know we've gained a massive leverage. So like I said, food becomes a passion business, but it gets on to you slowly and gradually. I was not the kind of people, you know, who tell me that, you know, we are foodies and we want to start a business. But like I said, slowly and gradually, like I was growing in business, I genuinely developed a fantastic affection towards this particular concept, and that's how we try to drill down into niches, which is now catering, cloud kitchens, consulting, coaching, and all of that. Everything we do is around food. So that's how it transpired. Yeah.
That is amazing, amazing. So, you talked about niches, and many people wants to work in food and this industry. Most of the people love food, the different
Mhm.
cultures, and art India is like filled with this. So, how can someone find their own niche? Niche in the domain, and how they can like go forward?
That's a beautiful question. You know, I believe, Kushi, that's something a lot of people don't ask, and I kudos to the kind of thought process, you know, with which you've asked me this question, because a lot of people need to know, and they have to do something which I keep sharing in my sessions, with something called evaluating your niche is about concept clarity. Where do you want to get? So, you know, I mean, during my personal coachings, you know, what I do typically is that we make them sign, you know, we make them go through an entire exercise of niche clarity, which goes on for at least 3 to 4 hours. But I'll tell you, like you mentioned about, you know, nowadays the system has really changed. If you see, nobody used to talk about niche earlier, but now is when, even if you're talking about podcast for that matter, one of the reasons why I genuinely found potential in my podcast or in my content was because I'm talking about catering, which nobody else is talking about, right?
Exactly.
So
Yes.
likewise in food, what happens is, or any kind of niche, you know, you want to pick up. If someone wants to get into food, there is a four step procedure, which is called ABCD model, which I call. Okay. Now A is basically having a broader niche. Now, for example, if I'm speaking to you right now, I might talk to you about you know, I mean, and taking you as a case study. Probably you want to start a food business, okay? And
Mhm.
you tell me, Manvi, that I want to figure out my broad niche. Now your broad niche can be that whether you want to get into restaurants, you want to get into cafes, you want to get into catering, you want to get into cloud kitchen, or you want to get into consulting, or you also want to get into, say, something around content with food, which is pretty much what food blogger is, you know, what has really come up now, you know, as a niche of sorts. Because again, that's not a business per se, but the content is really exploding, and that can be a mainstream activity in future. Now then becomes that you have to be slightly specific. That, for example, you have picked up cloud kitchen or catering as your niche, which you really want to focus on. Then you tell it slightly specific कि अगर वो niche है catering की या cloud kitchen की, what is the kind of cuisine you want to do there? You understand? Now nowadays it's not about doing anything and everything. You would have seen those restaurants in North Campus, and it works in North Campus only. Why? Because you have all the restaurants selling everything from North Indian to South Indian to
Yes.
pizzas to pastas to everything. But now the scenario has changed. People
Mhm.
want to trust either in careers or businesses, people who are specialists. That's how at least you have to position yourself. And that is where comes that you have to become slightly specific. So if cloud kitchen or catering is your niche, you become specific that do I want to do North Indian, I want to do South Indian, I want to do Thai, I want to do Japanese, I want to do Chinese, whatever I want to do. And then over and above, there's something called as you have to narrow it down further. So narrow it down further is basically that if I talk about North Indian cuisine, now come to think about North Indian cuisine, a lot of people don't understand it's a vast cuisine, or even a Chinese cuisine for that matter. So you further drill down and you come down to being specific that what do I want to do? I want to do say I mean if I'm doing say pizzas, do I want to do thin crust? Do I want to do pizzas and pastas combination? What do I want to do? And that's how you figure out your micro niche. So nowadays, what is happening is that the more detailed you can get in, like a North Indian example, I will take that today a lot of brands are coming up who are just doing tikkas and kebabs, or who are just doing Bihari cuisine, who are just doing Awadhi cuisine. You
Yeah.
understand? So the more you drill down, like I was telling you, that how you figure out your niches. One, first evaluate what are your strengths like. If you can evaluate your strengths really well, you'll understand what is it that you can focus on. Second, where do you see a market potential? Because you are having a strength for something and that not having a market potential will not suffice. And third, what is it that you can do with your existing resources, which is your investment capability? You understand? So these are the three factors. If you just evaluate these three factors, you can come on to your niche. But like I said, all of this goes back to the ABCD model, which I told you, which is A, figuring out your broad niche, B, understanding what is the kind of cuisine you want to get into, then further drilling down that in North Indian cuisine, what is the specific kind of cuisine you can really focus on, which is being slightly narrower. And last comes your micro niche that in a Bihari cuisine or in a North Indian cuisine, what do you want to focus on? Do you want to focus on tikkas and kebabs, or do you want to focus on gravies and North Indian cuisine? So, like I said, that's how you basically build your niche overall. So yeah, I mean, if you're able to, get through the entire process. I told you a more detailed version of it, but like I said, this is something very important for people to understand, because otherwise, like I said, general information is available to everyone. So I can't really comprehend that in any way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I want to know, when did you realize what is your niche, and when it came to your mind that, yeah, this is exactly what I want to do?
This is very interesting. Why I say that is because my niche came up from North Campus, and that's very interesting, and that's why I wanted to know slightly uh, I mean, who are you guys? What are you doing? And so on and so forth. But like I said, uh, the niche we were able to figure out when I was doing this midnight delivery startup I was telling you, and there was this bulk orders which were coming to us from all these MUNs which were happening in North Campus. If you know about the MUN concept,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I
And
have also
and
participated.
fantastic. So I was an MUN during my time also. I was part of ISEC. I was part of a lot of other activities, and that time. I mean, I remember I was just fresh out of my job, and I was really focusing because there was just one random order because there were people who were ordering from us very frequently, and one day they happened to just reach out to us and tell us that can you do this gathering of say 100 packs, 150 packs for us? We need packs, those packed thalis and all of that, right? That was one eureka moment for us. Eureka moment, why? Because we understood there's a big market in the which we can really target. And from there, you won't believe, uh, we really figured out that even though our first niche was to get into the food delivery space, which is on online delivery and cloud kitchen, we quickly moved our niche towards the B2B side, which is the catering side. And
Hmm.
you won't, I mean, just a fact I'm sharing, that understanding that particular niche, which was like I think so around a year in my business when I understood my niche. And within a year's time after that, we were able to cater for 60 colleges, 30 schools. So like I said, that was the eureka moment, wherein which with that one order we understood that probably that is the kind of niche which we can focus on. So food delivery was of course one of them. Like I said, because when you initially starting off, something I want to just to share with your with your community, that when you're starting off, sometimes you don't know what is your niche, and that's absolutely fine. Like I said, आपको बैठे बैठे आपको सपना नहीं आता कि मेरी niche ये है. But
Yeah.
that is where, I always say that the starting point of all achievement is something called desire, right? That if you have a desire to do something, you start off with anything. If you want to start a food business, you start off with any niche, any niche which you think you can do, keeping those three factors into consideration, which is your strengths, the market potential, and your investment capacity. If you have these three in place, that is when you understand ki I can open up a small cafe, or I can open up a small cloud kitchen, or I can be a home chef, whatever I want to be, right? And after that, you the market will teach you. The market will teach you where is it that you can really go. You understand? And that's a slightly like I said, that's a slightly better way of putting it, just so that it resonates with your with your community. Why? Because a lot of times, a lot of people come up to me and ask me that, Manvi, how did you think about getting into catering? And let me tell you one thing, I had not even heard of the word catering till actually doing my third order. My third and fourth order I was doing of these 150, 200. In fact, I was doing an IIT Delhi conference where I was catering to around 2,000 people. And I didn't know the term also at that particular point in time. But that's the beauty of business, that once you get started and you just start learning the overall process of the business, slowly and gradually the business teaches you how you want to, or how you should be growing in times. So yeah, that's pretty much about it.
That is nice. I mean, that is really nice. So what I feel is that many students and many people who are, especially in my batch and my age group, they have different ideas to start their own businesses.
Yeah.
They have also known what their niche is and which field that they want to go to. But the main problem is that they don't know how to work, how to execute the idea. So how, like, what advice would you give to them?
When it comes to executing an idea, it first starts off with something called the art of the start. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, what is art of the start? Art of the start is basically knowing how you start a business, doing some basic level of research, which is to do with, and like I said, a lot of people tell me is to make big business plans. Guys, I would not recommend that. But even if you're making a simple business model canvas, which is on a pen and paper, on a blank sheet of paper, you can just design your overall what is it that you will try to do. You can just answer yourself three questions. One is, how will I get my customer? That's the first question. How will you get your first client? If you have your first client, your business is set. The operations, the world will be able to figure that out, right? So first is, how will you get your customer? Okay. Second is, how will you service that customer? Okay. That's the operational part of it. And the third part is that how do I keep repeating this process? You understand? It's as simple as that, not complicating it. बिजनेस कहाँ से आएगा, बिजनेस को कैसे सर्विस करेंगे, और वो रिपीट कैसे होएगा प्रोसेस. If
Hmm.
these three questions you can answer on a simple plain piece of paper, you will start getting, you will be able to execute this. And like I said, to a lot of your friends, like you mentioned, a lot of people are living in that myth that you really need to have this big swanky office, a beautiful setup, and a lot of other things, they think that they might be needing. It's nothing like that. Even if you're opening up something, I think college is probably the best age to start something. Why? Because you're nothing to lose. Come
Yes.
to think of it, guys, what is it that you have to lose? You still have a third year coming up. But imagine, by not starting up or not taking any sort of initiative as part of the extracurriculars, they are losing out on a massive, on a massive, I would say, gold mine of opportunity. Imagine if a person is executing an idea, he's at least 10 times ahead of any person who's just thinking about it. So the only simple answer to this is, besides the three steps I shared with you, is to not think much and give it a start. Sometimes we have to understand perfection is a myth, and that's a myth which a lot of people need to break. And that's something I only learned when I started doing a lot of content work. During my podcast, I was listening to Gary Vee, and he's the best person who's taught me about this aspect, that perfection is a big myth. If you have a
Yes.
phone, just start sharing content. And like I said, who knew that probably I would have written a book. I mean, if you speak to me, sorry, give me a minute, please.
Yeah, no problem.
If had you spoken to me like some time back, I would, I can't believe till day that I've written a book, right? But sometimes what really happens is that you don't know. And had I really thought about writing a book, I would have never written a book. Likewise, in the case of a business, even if however small it is, even if you give it a start, the start is all that matters. And like I said, keep hustling towards it. Like I said, you have nothing to lose, and that's the first thing you need to know. So that's pretty much about it. Yeah.
That's really great and very well put up with your like very few words.
Yeah.
So talking about book, you wrote a amazing book and it became an Amazon bestseller in a few hours. So I want to know when it came to your in your mind that yes, I have to write a book on this topic.
So on a very serious note, this was uh, idly conceived from two perspectives. One was the perspective of wherein which I was I was basically building SOPs, which is called standard operating procedure for one of my companies, which I was really thinking of starting with, within the pandemic, because like I said, we were absolutely down to zero during those 45 days or 50 days, whatever it was. And I was building SOPs for my company, and those SOPs became like around 50-60,000 words, and I thought that this can be a gold mine for anyone who wants to start out, because like I said, uh, the best thing you can do to create value is to serve people, and that's where this coincided with another another incident which happened with me, which was something very beautiful, I would share, which coincided, so kabhi kabhi kehta hai na, that the universe conspires to make things happen for you, right? And what really happened was that I was speaking to this senior official from a skill development corporation, and he was just mentioning about the widespread ramifications of this kind of a pandemic, wherein which a lot of people are not only losing their jobs, but he was not seeing a possibility even of these people coming back to life. And that's when I really thought about it. I looked back upon my journey, and I understood that probably, I mean, of course, I do multiple businesses in the F&B space and otherwise in the investing side, but I always believe that catering is the best niche with what anyone can build. Why? Because it's a it's a very capital efficient business. I mean, you don't have to have a lot of money to invest, and second, your working capital is better. Why? Because you get advance payments, and then you execute an order and so on and so forth. So I thought this can be a fantastic micro entrepreneurship avenue for people. If you want to open up a restaurant today, it will not cost you less than say 10, 15, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs. You want to open up a cloud kitchen anywhere above 50,000 to 1 lakh to 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs. But a catering business can be started right from your home. Come to think of it. And I thought, when I was speaking to this senior official, and I was thinking about these SOPs I created, I thought might as well merge these two thoughts and put this on a paper. Now that's a different thing, that my editor was sick and tired of me because I was writing everything over the place, and he had a long time doing all the editing and so on and so forth. I had to change probably 2 to 3 editors, and it was a very difficult. So the manuscript, which is 60,000 words, is a lot of words, right? Was
Mhm.
ready in like less than like 5 days, but the editing took close to 2 months. Come to think of it, right? And he reduced that to 40,000 words and so on and so forth. But like I said, and I was again, how this launched was that once this book was up and running, I just shared a Kindle version for my community, and that's why there's something called advanced review copies I had shared with my friends and people within my community. You won't believe, within the 12 hours, I was shocked at probably just seeing the numbers, just because the algorithm works in that manner that once a book is going up, a lot of people find interest into that, and a lot of people, and I had priced it like relatively decently. And my objective, something very important I want to just share with you, something which a lot of people should know about, is that I just started with the objective, not with the mission I'm telling you right now, but I started with the mission of only one thing, that is, even if one person benefits from this particular book, I would have done my purpose. Because in the middle of the pandemic, you don't know where life is headed, right? And the
Yeah.
only thing you can do to empower yourself is to educate and impart knowledge. And like I said, this is history. So the book, really went up, and we never thought it would go the way it did, but yeah, that's pretty much about it. So yeah, hope that answered your question. Yeah.
That's great. So, can you please say a little bit about the book, what the contents are, and how the book is in
Get it.
few words?
So basically, the book is the book, like we say, catering your way to financial independence. In the book, what we've done is that we've shared a step-by-step guide for how someone can start a catering business without any prior background in the hospitality industry. Okay, that is what we are focusing on the book, wherein which we cover, from the first chapter, which is to give you a broader landscape about the catering industry. What is the opportunity like? Is there an opportunity to make great money in the business or not? How, what are the different kinds of catering? What is indoor catering, outdoor catering? After that, we get into the specifics. How do you go about building your rough business plan? Then
Mm-hmm.
how do you go about your sales, your marketing, your menu planning, your kitchen planning, your staffing, your hiring, and then what do you do about marketing? How do you build a catering enterprise from your restaurant kitchen or from your cloud kitchen? So, like I said, it was a step by step. It is basically a step by step guide for how any layman, someone like anyone who just want that interest and that inkling to start a catering business, he can just refer to that particular book, and he's pretty much good to go. He does not really need to go through those long ordeal. Like, this is also something which I would just want to share with you, that in the Indian context, in Indian or Indian subcontinent per se, there is not even a single book around the catering industry.
Yeah,
And
there is
this
no.
was this was one of the biggest concerns which I was facing, because you know while my background was coming from a economics background to a management consulting background, and I was just trying to figure this out, right? Mujhe, I really like to read about what I'm trying to do, because like I told you, I didn't know till the first two three events that I was actually doing catering, which really after some time I started, and that's when I wanted to learn about the business more. But like I said, I took practical learning. But I think this book is the best tool for anyone who wants to start a catering business or any F&B business for that matter, because the rules are the same. The rules of the business are the same. But point is that we really focused on catering. Why? Because I see that a lot of these home chefs, these home bakers, or anyone, any new cloud kitchen owner who's struggling to build his business, if he pivots even slightly towards the catering industry, he can build a massive fortune for himself, which in turn can help him lead a path of financial independence. So that is what is the content of the book. If you have any specific queries, more than happy to answer them. Yeah.
That is amazing because honestly, I also checked that is there like any other
Hmm.
book on catering or the food
Yeah.
industry or, but I couldn't find, and then I saw the reviews and I was like, "Achha, okay, there's no other book, and it's a really big help that you're doing with writing a book." So that is amazing, and something that I felt of discussing that you also said that for 45 days your
Hmm.
work was also going down because of the COVID situation,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
so how did you manage with this kind of situation?
Well, it was tough. That's how I can put it in
How did you keep yourself
in a nutshell.
positive and to move forward?
There's this beautiful thing. Have you heard of this brand called Goli Vada Pav?
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember I had attended one of his sessions a long time back. I'm telling you, when I was just starting my business 5 years back, I think 6 years back, and he said this beautiful thing. There was something for a Thai food, some conference I'd gone to, and he said this beautiful thing which still resonates with me. It's like, entrepreneurship is a lonely journey, and you
Mhm.
need to keep a lot of motivation with you to keep yourself sustained. You know what I mean? And that is where I actually, if you just, if you just speak to me pre-COVID, I was so much involved into my business. I never thought about an industry, which thrived around content, which thrived around information, education, around so much of knowledge. And like I said, this was a very good time for us to go back, you know, re-navigate our company, re-evaluate. In fact, I understood the power of data during these times, because, like I said, we really focused on the power of executing and doing a great job at what we do, but we never really evaluated our business in the actual sense of it, in terms of actually building an MIS for what is the kind of business we are doing out of our three offices, which is Delhi, Mumbai, and Chennai. What are the clients who are giving us a maximum business? What are the repeat rate like? How many customers, are we servicing, in an entire quarter? All these details we got to learn. Second was really focusing and keeping your motivation high and pumped. Like I said, I was reading a lot of books, and I always recommend a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I've read a long time back. But I recommend that to everyone to read about financial independence. In the process, like I said, I was reading a lot of books around the food business ecosystem, a lot about the content, like what Gary Vee shares and so on and so forth. So, like I said, that's how we were keeping us unmotivated. Talking about our business was basically going through a rough time. It's still going through a rough time. Reason being that a lot of these events, so like we used to do large events like an IPL, like an ISL, Pro
Yeah.
Kabaddi, Women Badminton League, and those are events which are all B2C events, wherein which you need spectators, right?
Hmm.
And we don't. While in the pandemic, we completely pivoted our offering from doing these large corporate events to focusing on those small bulk orders from offices, from houses, and so on and so forth. But the numbers are not like what we are used to. You know what I mean, right? And in that process, like I said, there's this beautiful quote which says, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And that's what we are really of the belief that we'll keep doing work, we'll keep recapitalizing onto what is the better best opportunity we can leverage. So we the first thing we did was to change our offering from those bulk mandates we used to do to smaller gatherings of 10 to 15, 20, 25 to 30 packs. And the second thing which we did, which is something which is really building up now, is this entire ecosystem of content. So of course the book is out, and like I said, I never really thought about that. The second thing which we started was something around the edtech space, which is we started a new program called Cloud Kitchen Mastery program, Cloud Kitchen Mastery, wherein which we are really helping a lot of people start their own cloud kitchen business from scratch, and that too without any prior background in the hospitality industry. So what we did with catering with the book is now what we're doing in a form of a course for a lot of people, who want to start their own cloud kitchen business, because I've been invested into 5 cloud kitchens and so on and so forth. So the whole idea was to put all these learnings into one tableted form and just share it with the world. And like I said, we've got a great response. So like I said, now is when we've really pivoted and we've really hedged our business, that we are adding more revenue verticals to our company. You know what typically is never the case. कि अगर if a food business is selling food and making business, I think that's a passe now. Any food business has to come up with new models of existence that can not only be in terms of the courses or the book I have told you, but that can also be in terms of training or say cooking workshops people can do, and multiple things. But like I said, we completely pivoted our business model, and now we are happy. Why? Because we have built multiple revenue streams for our company. So that's how it's working. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I could pick up is like if there is like some major issue with the business or the company, this is a this is a very important thing to analyze and pivot according to the situation.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Find out, there's nothing said as koi business nahi market mein. Like I said, you have to still survive. You still have to go out for the kill every day. And if you don't go out for the kill, you'll you'll face a tough time in future. That's what I can think of.
Yeah, from food catering, you actually pivoted to the actually an education platform. So that is
Absolutely,
that
absolutely,
is that is
absolutely.
amazing. I wanted to know that when you started with your own company.
Kushi, just one quick point here. I just want to add
Sure, sure.
that just one point for your viewers, that while we are trying to dabble into new projects and the projects are faring well, we are not forgetting our mainstay. We are still a food company. We survive by selling food to people and creating beautiful experiences, event experiences. But the only thing is that any business, the only learning the pandemic has taught me and the entire events industry is that you need to have multiple revenue verticals. But the
Mhm.
important thing is here, while you're pivoting, don't forget the mainstay where you came from. Don't forget where you came from. So like I said, we'll always be an event hospitality company, creating, doing catering, doing a lot of cloud kitchen work, serving a lot of happy customers. But alongside, we'll be extending that brand experience and we'll be building more educational products and other digital products, which can be an extension of our brand in totality. That's what we're trying to do. Yeah. So
So basically, like stick to your why. Why
yeah,
did you start it with?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
that is really important for anyone to start a business. So when you started your own business,
Hmm.
what major problems and challenges you faced?
The first problem, my problem was very different. My problem was different. Why? Because any typical business, the first problem they face is to get customers. But in my case, I've been a hardcore salesman all through my life. I mean, you give me you give me a group. Can you just allow me a minute? Can you just put this? I just need to put my laptop on charge.
Sure,
Can you allow
sure.
me a minute, please? Yeah, give me a minute, please. Sorry. Yeah, I think we're good to go. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, the only difference, I mean, what I can share between my journey and what typically happens is that we had a lot of business coming our way, but we didn't know how to service it. You know what I mean? We were able to figure out, and I always say this to a lot of people, that get the business first, and that's when you have a company up and running. It's all about finding that first set of business. And my initial problem was how to understand the food business, the operational elements of the food business. Because I knew one thing, that I was very good at selling, but I didn't have any expertise in the food business per se, in terms of how do you curate a menu, how do you get your staff on board, how do you go about with respect to the technicalities of a buffet, how do you go about with your packaging, how do you go about with your customer relationship management, I mean, post the event. So these were the kind of problems which we were facing. And like I said, slowly and gradually we really understood, and that's why I was telling you that we were really looking at learning from other people, wherein which we wanted to refer to some books and so on and so forth, but there was nothing around. And like I said, these are some very genuine problems. Operations is the most difficult aspect of any business. I mean, mostly what I've seen, at least in my case, because when you're starting out, you just need a step-by-step guide into how do you even do your procurement. It's something so basic. Where do you buy from? I still meet home chefs who tell me that I am buying my groceries or my supplies from a big bazaar or from a more, which are like hypermarkets, right? They are not your industry suppliers, so the price difference would be always different, because you're buying 200 grams of package and so on and so forth. So all those mistakes I was making myself, because I didn't know about the business in any sense, and I was relying too much on my team, who themselves were very new to the business. So like I said, for me, the biggest challenge and the area of opportunity was to leverage operations. And if someone can actually overcome these difficulties, right, they can actually make a profit multiplier in their business, because sales and operations are the two components of a business. Agar sales aap kar rahe ho, and if you understand the operations part, your profit segment, the moment I understood the operations part of it, the profit segments really jack up, and and I think that was the biggest learning I have taken from my business, that you need to understand the operations really well, irrespective of a particular business. Yeah.
So during your journey, did you ever felt a feeling of rejection or had any fears like it might fail, it might not work?
Multiple. I mean, I think nobody's failed at more things than I have failed, probably, because, like I said, I mean, when you're really building a business, you want it, you don't want it, but failures uh, is inevitable. And I'll tell you why it is inevitable. Without, I always say, in the food business, or in any business for that matter, there are some good days, there are some bad days. Good days are very good. Why? Because even if you screw up, you still will be able to sail through. But the
Mhm.
bad days are so bad that even if you plan to do something good and you plan for everything, something can go wrong. I mean, in an events business, aside from something as basic as people, uh, I mean, right 2 minutes before the food is about to be picked up, it starts raining. To an experience I had at One of the worst experiences I've had at a college called Hindu College, wherein which, they told me around 800 people were supposed to come for one of their events. And in actuality, they had 2,400 people coming up. So we
Oh.
had not planned for all those things. So like I said, if I just go by the kind of failures, now these are not failures which I have planned for. Like I said, as an ethical businessman, something which is very important to know as any budding entrepreneur is to be very ethical and observant of his particular trade. But sometimes there are scenarios which go beyond your control, and it will depend on other people. And like I said, like any budding entrepreneur, I think the biggest mistake I used to do during my sales, my core, I would say, phase of doing sales was that I used to say yes for everything. And yes for everything is sometimes not really looking into the facts of the customer. Who's the customer? What are the kind of, and that's why, like I told you, I mean, if I tell you, uh, the first time we were catering for these kind of events, we didn't even know how to anticipate about people, right? If someone says 100 people, you will be surprised. 100 people in a corporate eat in a different manner. 100 people in a student run conference people eat differently, and 100 people in a wedding would eat differently. You know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we didn't know those nuances, and we failed multiple times there. Second was when I was really trying to actually grow my business. I was really trying to do a lot of sales, and while in the initial phase in the college and school market, we were able to still leverage those networks and those skills, sales skills. But when we shifted to the hardcore events business, which is pitching for all these larger events I'm talking to you about, there are so many things which happen which are beyond your control. There's so much of how should I put it? Uh, malified things, which happen, at an event site, where in which other vendors do something with your product, and you are held responsible for that. So like I said, uh, keeping positive tone, these are all part and parcel of life, and it's all about how you jump, how you bounce back. But like I said in the first bit, nobody's failed at more things than I have, and I'm proud of that. And like I said, it's helped me to be who I am today. So like I said, uh, not getting into specifics, because then we can have an entire podcast on each failure, and that that will be a long time. So hope you understand. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So basically, all the failure that you had actually taught you a lot of things.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
So you coach like so many people, and you are the mission, a very huge mission, to be
Hmm.
honest.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
why do you think that most of the businesses fail in a very early start?
Like I said, I shared with you something very in a very subtle manner. I told you three things. Three things is, where do you get your customers, how will you service them, and what is your investment capability like. Three things. 90% of the businesses don't really assess these things. Three things: वह भी कहाँ से business आएगा, कैसे service करेंगे, और उसको कैसे repeat करेंगे पूरे process को. you know because if you get a customer, once in a blue moon,
Hmm.
and you're able to service him जैसे तैसे, and then you can't repeat that process, you've not built a business, and you built a scheme, you built a, what should I say, it's something called a windfall game. He Just by luck you were able to do it. But the entire process, everyone in business is somewhere or the other trying to explore their luck. And something I learned much earlier in my college is that opportunity is hard work meets preparedness, right? You know, and point is that you need to understand that once you're finding that opportunity, you have to put in the hard work, because once that hard work and the preparedness gets together, you are able to, when you prepared with all these answers, you'll be able to service your customers much better. Like I said, people can simply answer these three questions about their particular business, how they can repeat, because the last point is the most difficult. First point is, of course, यहाँ से customer आएगा, दूसरा है मैं इसे service करूंगा, ठीक है. Now, third is that how will you repeat that? How will you ensure that you start getting the direct flow of customers to keep coming to you? How do you keep ensuring that you keep servicing them in the right possible manner? So, like I said, that is the reason why 90% of the businesses fail. And the first thing is to answer these questions. So answering is one part of it, and that's the first phase. Answering the why. Second part is to answer the how, and that's really important, right? You can do whatever you would want to do, but if you can't execute it on ground, it will not mean anything. And the execution ka simple fundamental hai that you have to do trial and rest. Nobody, even a Warren Buffett to a Amazon Jeff Bezos, nobody had started knowing what to do. It was a lot of trial and trial, test and error. Typically, what happened, right? And that is what I recommend, that everyone should answer the why, the how, and the what. Everyone knows what business they want to start, and that's why we're having this conversation. But again, why, how, and the execution part of it. If these three can be done, I think a lot of businesses increase the probability of success. Like I said, if it works, does not work, depends on multiple factors. Today is one of those factors, right? When because of a pandemic, a lot of companies which were doing very well, and we are talking about multi-grow companies, who are down to zero as the revenue, like travel companies, like event
Mhm.
companies, like restaurant businesses, was facing the worst times of their careers, right?
Yeah.
But all said and done, once they bounce back, I think, things will not be back to normal. But like I said, if you don't if you don't test it out in the market, you will never get that learning which you want to. So just start out, and then the process will take its own turn. Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah.
Great, that's great. So, if someone wants to start, I want to know where is the market now and where do you see this food business for next 5 or 10 years?
So I think 5 years would be too difficult to gauge right now, because looking at the kind of scenario which is happening,
Mm-hmm.
things are changing on a every 2 year basis or 3 year basis.
Yes, yes.
Nowadays you can't make an assessment, because I was just listening to a couple of people are telling me, robotics will come into the food. That's still there, guys. That's still there. Robotics is there in the food base. There's drone delivery happening. That's still happening. Point is not that what are the experiments which will happen, but where will it lead to. And I'll tell you what is going to happen with the food business, which is happening right now. The entire democratization of the food delivery and food service industry will happen in times to come. What I mean by that is, like, the way you are able to build a podcast right from the comfort of your home, okay,
Mm-hmm.
just making a podcast. In a similar manner, you'll have that fine blend, okay, of a cloud kitchen industry which will survive, which will be for bigger players who are able to build a good enough brand recall in the market. Okay, they will sustain in the market. And the second will be all those home chefs, home bakers, who deliver something exquisite. You know what I mean? Who are focusing on the role of something called the role of niche and micro niche.
Mm-hmm.
If they're able to drill that down, these two things will define their particular future. The next, I think, 2 to 3 years are purely focused towards non-restaurant type businesses, which are non-brick and mortar businesses, which is typically your cloud kitchens, your home chefs, home bakers converting into relatively professional setups. And third is catering, like I said, because catering to smaller gatherings, vis-a-vis, doing restaurants and so on and so forth, like the kind of work we did can become a passe in times to come, because a lot of people would refrain from walking into stadiums and so on and so forth. But I would say in the smaller segment, starting from 10 to 15 people going up to 100 people, there's a big potential for anyone to join the market. So like I said, in the next 3 years, I see these three sectors really going up. And once these three sectors really go up, like I said, there'll be democratization. Why? Because from it is all about how much content you put out in the market, how much you're able to be visible in the market, how much attention you're able to get of your customer, will define how you are ahead of your curve. You understand? And that is what is the next 3 years about. Of course, the robotics will happen. A lot of automation will come in. A lot of those new involvements will come in. But next 3 years is about cloud kitchens, about home chefs, home bakers, and about individual caterers. In the small segment, micro niche segments, really going up. That's what I see.
I think that this will really help for the people who just want to start or maybe do trials with their career.
Absolutely.
So it will be
Absolutely.
it is a time for a boost for them actually. If I
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
so
And like I said, the opportunity is huge. And right
exactly.
now is the best opportunity because, if you see even in the content space, it is not the people who's spending more money, who's spending more money are being seen, but it's the people who started first. So the first
Hmm.
move advantage really comes into being. And I think if you start up today, in the next 3 years, you'll be able to actually build a brand for yourself. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah.
That's amazing. So basically having a niche and putting foundation on your why and
Absolutely.
putting your work to the world,
Mm.
making content. These three things are like very important. Uh,
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
so it was very insightful to have a conversation with you. So before we end, I usually ask a question to all the speakers.
Mm.
So it's like if you have an opportunity to see your younger self, 10 years younger self, what advice would you give to that person?
The only advice I would have given to my younger self is stay the way you were. Stay the way you were. In terms of doing a lot of internships, doing a lot of extracurriculars, doing a lot of activities which people thought were absolutely useless, but you were doing it. But the only one thing, keep doing all those things. But one thing which I really think I missed out on when I was in college was I missed out on traveling.
Mm-hmm.
You should really travel the world. You should travel all these countries just the way Israelis do it. It's a mandate for them that before their college they're supposed to do a year of sabbatical or a year or two of sabbatical, where in which they are told to go out and explore the world. Guys, it's very important. You need to travel. You need to explore. I mean, I'm telling you, it's one of the best assets. And like I said, travel dirt cheap, travel at a budget. But the only thing I can tell myself, my younger self, is that you missed out on travel. That's one of the worst things I could have done. I of course traveled later on, but I think had I traveled during school and college, it would have been I would have had a much broader perspective towards life, which a lot of people get only when they're in college. And not only when they're in college. Once they happen to travel even for months, there are a lot of new things, exploring new cultures. So keep doing that, and that's pretty much about it. Yeah.
It's a very unique suggestion and an advice that you give. I actually never heard of this before. So it was
Yeah.
very insightful and fruitful for us. So thank you so much again for being a
Likewise.
part
Yeah.
and taking out
Great, great.
time.
Thanks. And like I said, you guys are doing great work in Batida Rang. And like I said, if there's anything I can do to add value, please feel free to reach out. And kudos
Sure.
to your listeners and to people in your community. Tell them this is the best time. The best time to start is now. So just give it a start and we'll take it forward. Okay.
Thank you so much.